Greetings to all. This is odd. Now we understand all of you desire to speak more deeply and intricately of the co-creation of your United States region election at this moment. But before diving in to this query, there are two things in which we wish to express. The first, above and beyond all things that are expressed in this day, to feel and to perceive that you are loved in our perspective is of the utmost importance. Secondly, it is our greatest excitement, and within the same form of great excitement in which we co-create with you, not only in this moment of your linear time perspective, but throughout all moments of that same linear time frame and focus of your reality. Now, understanding the construct of election, we must reiterate that which we have shared throughout the years of co-creating. First, you are all individual creators of your own personal form of reality. Your own universe of reality is expressed through the individual focus of consciousness at hand, and this means that although you are co-creating with other humans, although you are co-creating as one fractal of consciousness within a greater form of collective, you are still the center point of focus in your personal form of reality. And it is very important to understand and to know this. Secondly, the co-creation that occurs with the collective form is done so with a greater frame of reference focused, meaning that although you may perceive this creation to be of a magnitude of excitement or a magnitude of fear, both of those expressions are individually focused through your own conscious construct and created as a form of focus for your personal expression in order to open the layers of understanding inside of yourself, as well as create a collective effect together for those shared experience desires. Thirdly, as you understand and know, humans are at a very important time within the spiritual evolution of the Earth consciousness. The consciousness of Earth itself is growing and expanding. And as we have shared through the time frame in which you perceive as 2019, through the construct of 20 and 22 of your time frame region, that of course you must open the construct of understanding your reality before engaging with it. And once you understand, you must be able to perceive all of the places of resistance in which you can co-create focus for in order to shift that reality into one that is better for you. In simple terms, if you see that you are sinking in your boat while you are out at sea, you will then notice that the boat is broken, and then, and only then, can you take your action in order to create a specific frame of reference and take action upon that reference and create a fix for the problem in which you have. You cannot fix a problem if you do not understand the problem exists. Now, with those three focal points, in order to understand moving forward, we will express first, there are two forms of beings that exist in the greater collective, those that are greatly excited of what has occurred with the entity that you know as Trump's winning. And of course, there are those who are fearful of that same expression. Now, of course, you understand humans are not created through a specific form where only two types of humans exist. As you know, there is a spectrum of energy that is involved. There are very few humans who are looking at the situation in a very neutral mindset, who express that they did not have preference before that moment, but accept what occurs in the moment in order to perceive what can be created from that very vantage point of neutrality. Now, of course, we have always suggested that if you truly desire to create with the least amount of resistance, to be as neutral in the moments of creation as possible, with no expectation in which way or which form of experience that you desire. Yet it is very difficult for most of you, because most of the energy behind what is perceived as your collective elections, the figurehead of power at your country or for the entirety of the earth, as we understand, United States is one of the countries that is well known throughout the world, perceived as a precipice of energy, perceived as a figurehead above others in some cultures and in some human understandings. Therefore, even though this greatly affects those in the United States who are attached to the outcome of that energy, any human who holds some perspective of attachment to an outcome will in fact understand a change inside of them, either positive or negative, to that experience as well. So now that we understand the mechanisms, now that we understand the two varieties of the majority of humans, we will step into both vantage points so that we are able to contrast one another and create a fair level of exchange. But of course, preceding this, we also must express the time frame and, of course, timeline that all of you are sharing at this very moment. So we start the timeline first of those who hold fear and anger in this moment. At first, in the year of 2016, you perceive the construct of energy of this human being who before was not perceived in any form of dangerous way, unless there was a preconceived notion about this entity. Most humans did not focus upon the entity that you know as Trump in that time. They only perceived him as a person who was a figurehead of reality TV and all, a person who was an elite and who had financial gain, etc. And then, at the moment of this entity engaging from some of the things that were expressed in co-creation, started to have fear around this person and the actions of this person. This person stepped into an arena where all of the collective entities had expressed that we play the game of politics in a certain way, and this person stepped out of the bounds of that very deeply, comparative to those who were creating from that mindset previous and who played that co-creation game of politics as well. Now, as all of you may be aware, in our co-creation previously, in your 2016 time, we had shared that when there were 3 humans remaining in the election, that the entity that you know as Clinton represented a system of politics that had already existed, and the entity that is known as Bernie Sanders was an entity that represented a shift outside of normality to those who focused upon this entity, to those who supported this entity, those entities who liked Bernie Sanders for the co-creation, perceived this entity as a consciousness capable of shifting the entire dynamic political ideology altogether. This entity was a change maker from the perspective of those who adored him. Now, of course, upon the opposite side of that energy, the entity that was Donald Trump, upon that specific other side, also by those who supported and adored him, perceived this entity as a change maker for their specific ideology. So at that moment that we expressed, there were three entities. One was removed from the equation, leaving only the natural system of politics that had existed, and a person who could create shift and change in the political landscape. And of course, this entity wins in your 2016 election, and of course, everything did in fact change in the reality of politics as you understand and know. Now, of course, this is to some of your dismay and others' great excitement, but the system would be upheaved in that moment. Going forward, 4 years post, through the specific exchange and time and understanding of your pandemic experience, there was a great deal of hatred and anger towards this person from half of your collective in the United States region and beyond, and the other half held a great praise. See the changes that this person is making, or those who feared or hated this entity also point to this human and express, look at the changes that he is making. One cries these words with anger, the other with excitement, yet outside of your personal perspective, this human created all of the changes in the political landscape that all of you understand and know. Now you go into your 2020 year. Those who praise this entity fell into their own dismay and own experience of co-creation with anger and fear and frustration that to some degree perceived as being taken away from them. And of course, the entities who did not care for this entity greatly enjoyed the perspective of seeing this entity leave. The person that in their mind had created all of the problems, all of the troubles, is now out of our hair and life. And of course, the system of those that are in the political ideology took their own measures in order to create a separation from that entity from coming back into politics, creating an experience of looking deeply into his actions, deeply into his records, and being able to step forward with a judiciary form of criminal charges, and of course multiple other forms of back and forward from both sides of the political ideological spectrum as well. Now that you have both sides fighting and arguing, one side trying to keep this inflammatory person from re-entering the co-creation upon the other side, those that had a large following of excited followers who idolized this person and perceived him as a great savior of their cause, a champion against the system, a person who could co-create miracles and remove the negativity from the politics, was of course inflammatory from the perspective of the other side, and they did what was required in their perspective to create more division from that person's ability to re-enter. But as all of you are aware, this did not create division, for this human and in some ways emboldened certain humans to co-create the experience that you are having at this moment. Now, of course, all of you are aware that in the greater collective perspective, it is perceived as a great victory, a monumental landslide, as humans call this last election, that reinstates this person who is perceived as an outside agent or a change maker. Now, half of you perceive that change as a horrific and horrible change. Others perceive it as a great opening of the collective form in order to implement greater changes against the system. Now, in that co-creation, there are also groups of humans who perceive that the last election, in their own perspective, may have not been fair, may have not been equal as they appeared to look backwards at the previous exchange. This is where both sides come together. This is where both sides have equal forms of understandings and intentions. All of the human beings who are not deeply ideologically planted only, as most humans are when watching sports. This is my team, they must win. Those who are thinking in a critical sense, who have aligned their hearts or minds to one side or another, both of you now have had the opportunity to see the change maker that you desired, to co-create an experience, become president. Both of you have been able to perceive your own candidate losing, and both of you have been able to perceive the system that is intended to create the voice of the human power, your individual aspects of consciousness, expressing that my vote will express a construct into the collective that changes to the accordance of my own desires, had not been surfaced in the way that you desired, may have been taken away or stripped from you, or removed unfairly in some way. Both of you feel both justified, and both of you have felt wrong. That is what is required for the human collective. That is what is required from these last several elections of co-creations, where the emotions and the mental states of humans become highly engaged. Now, first of all, we will express to all of you our percentage of you who understand that regardless of which human were to win, that the creative capacity in your own life must be expressed through the means of your own power, meaning that if there are true things in your own experience that you desire, no human can remove that from you, regardless of the laws that are placed against you, regardless of the perspective of the collective, regardless of who your own energy has supported, regardless of whose energy, from the political standpoint, that gives you regulations, rules, expressions, etc. All of the power that comes from the creative collective form comes from yourself. Now understand, as you move forward, the division aspect continues. As all of you are aware, all of the systems that we have expressed that have not worked for humans for thousands of years will continue to expose every nook and cranny of problematic formatting in order to see the depths of how awkward and how unequal these systems truly are. And the political construct is out in front of all of you for you to perceive the great faults and the possibilities of changes that will create a better system in the future. So, of course, as you all are looking at this very specific thing, those of you who feel great excitement have an easier pathway in front of you at the moment. And of course, all pathways that start with excitement are always less resistant than those that start with fear. So in your own perspective, holding levels of excitement for the changes that you desire, that you perceive, of course continuing that level of excitement, but also we wish for you to understand it is not the human being that is elected president themselves that is creating that great change that you perceive. It is not one human who achieves this alone. It is your own passion for change. It is your creation of this person that you have created to step into that position in order to create the changes that you desire. It is not the power of this individual human, but your personal and collective power that creates these. Now, of course, those of you who are in moments of fear recognize that the fear comes from that which you feel you cannot control. But of course, all humans are not able to control the greater co-created collective form in a very personalized way. Recognize that although it seems hopeless and fearful for you in this very moment, that there is a reason. Just for all of those who are truly excited by this person's winning the election are able to start perceiving the things that excite them, you are able to start perceiving the things that don't excite you, the things that are not good in your system, the things that are not exciting, the things that cause pain, resistance, and be able to work to heal those things. Just as in the last 4 years previous, those who are excited now had to face those fears, had to work through those fears, had to work with the feeling that they had lost control of their own experience. If you are able to separate yourself from having a perspective that is locked in from expectation, if you are able to let go of what you think the loss of this election for you means, then perhaps you will be able to start seeing things that weren't there previous. Perhaps things that occur by the reaction of this human being in that position will unfold in better ways than you had hoped. It is only your attachment to that perspective that creates you proving to yourself repetitively that you were correct, that this person is the wrong choice, that this person will create war, that this person will create chaos. Of course, when you perceive in those terms, then of course you will always prove yourself correct. But if you are simply open to understanding that I do not care for this person, what they are about is the opposite of what I desire, and let go of your expectations that this entity will do things that are negative, and express whatever is created is in the best means for the collective to see all of the faults of the system, to perceive how political constructs are crooked and broken and perceived through different varieties of energy of different persons, then only at that moment will you start being able to perceive the power that you hold in that very moment as well. For those who are categorically separated from the majority of the collective, from those of you who did not have a stake within that election, you're already allowing yourself to be in the flow of energy that gives you the opportunity to create. Now understand, when we express the construct, the possibility to create, what we mean is this: as you are your own individual universal creator, as you are your own universal dictate. This means that the energy that you have in co-creation with all humans ultimately creates the experience that is needed mostly for yourself. And if your greatest desire is to have an experience of compassion, have an experience of collectivism, have an experience of all of the things that you feel you cannot in this moment, the belief system itself that you cannot, in that environment, is the only aspect that will hold back. And when we speak of probabilities of creation, what we mean is that when you express to yourself that in this universe I can only have this bad experience, you are literally closing all of the probabilities to have positive experiences interacting in that environment at the moment. As we've expressed many times previously, creation is similar to your computer program. Your beliefs are the boundaries of that program. Your beliefs dictate how much you can or cannot create in and out of that boundary. If you are invested 99% in your belief that this candidate won and that means the world is doomed, you are only able to create a 1% probability outside of that belief. If you are 80% invested in that belief, you are only possibly able to manifest outside of that system of belief in 20%. The more that you let go of your investment in a belief that limits you, the more possibility you will be able to be open to that experience of creating positive despite perceivingly negative outcomes. Your thought patterns are what feeds your computer program. If you are consistently expressing in your mind, I have lost, everything has failed, we are in bad shape, then you are pouring more power of investment into those beliefs that you cannot have a good experience in that moment. When you are not in the moment, present with yourself, you are throwing your consciousness in the past, rethinking of how you got to that moment, throwing your consciousness into the future, worried about what could happen next. You're not present now, you're throwing a quarter of yourself in the air. Now with yourself dispersed in the past and future and ungrounded in that one moment, you're left with a very small percentage of your consciousness to create those things that you desire. And with that small of a percentage, you will not be able to manifest nearly at the opportunity of creating with yourself present. Be in the moment, mindful of your negative thought patterns, your limiting thought patterns, and of course, mindful of how deeply you are invested in beliefs that limit your ability to manifest those things that you truly desire to have. We understand that many of you have been told catastrophe is bound. We will express what we have expressed throughout the times. Yes, there are great shifts that will occur. Yes, there are great changes that will occur. But the likelihood of great world wars or nuclear catastrophe is almost non-existent. And the reason why it is nearly non-existent is that is not what humans are doing with their evolution. All of you desire to have happiness, excitement, peace, and the ability to freely be yourself. And all of these great shifts that can and will occur are to help all of you implement that energy. We also wish to express that all of you have a voice to share. All of you have perspectives to share. When those perspectives are steeped in fear, you're only putting out imbalance into your collective form. When all of those energies that you hold deeply inside of yourself are steeped with love, then you are bringing connection back into your reality. This is the opportunity your fork in the road, as it were. Should I put disconnection into the collective consciousness, or should I put reconnection back into the collective energy? We are not saying it is wrong to be upset about what has occurred. We are not saying that you are incorrect in the way that you are feeling. All that we are saying is that those emotions exist there for a reason. If you truly believe that this person's winning of your election creates your doom, it is total belief systems that you hold of being powerless and not being a powerful creator. Just as we have expressed 4 years previous, to those who are excited in this moment, they have already gone through their processing. They have already perceived what their own experience and those who held their belief systems that the world would be doomed because their entity did not win, experienced nothing but pain and suffering and fear in the last 4 years. Whether you are feeling very positive or negative about this moment, it is acceptable to feel your emotions, but do not let it overtake your belief systems. As it pertains to your next year, you will see a great deal of shifts if you are open to understanding that those shifts are important for all of you to regain your own power and excitement. Then you will start being able to perceive the energy of co-creation bound. We understand that in the political ideology, it is already creative separation experience. You are either upon the right or wrong side. You are either on my side or other side. And that divides. Things that divide will not bring oneness. Only love, compassion, and understanding bring acceptance. And regardless of how you perceive those who voted for the other side, recognition that the political ideological co-creational field is one of separation does not mean the humans who went to vote are a part of that separation system. All humans place their energy into voting for one of two reasons, fear or love. And when humans create their votes from fear, the manifestation of their own person to win becomes lower. The manifestation of their own desire becomes weaker. And those who do it with love become stronger. We have recognition that there are a large percentage of humans who are not truly excited of the entity that you call Harris, but more so angry and fearful of what would occur if the entity that is known as Trump remained in, and that energy will not create the openness that you are looking for. Only excitement does. Now, we understand many of you who do not care for the entity that is known as Trump, or even hate this entity in a great way, were truly excited by Harris and the other entities that were co-creating, and your energy went into the positivity of that movement, whereas those who only feared went into the negative polarity of that energy. Either version of those who are excited or in fear, remember that if you work at your local level of community, as we have expressed throughout the last multiple years, that you'll find more deep and meaningful change in your life. You will help those that you care about and influence their perspectives by sharing love in their lives. And if you are able to work in your community, then you can create an expression that is larger into your town or city, then into your county region, then into your state region, and then share that love exponentially. Eventually, the political division that occurs will not be a system of two, but a spectrum of dozens of different energies, and those who work on creating a fix to the bridge that has been divided will be the ones who in the future will be the compassionate, caring, loving entities that create true great change further down in your own history of the country of the United States and of course in the world in the long terms. Those energies that are not one spectrum of the far side or the other, but those in the middle who look upon others who believe differently and share compassion and interest in the reasoning why others feel that way. This will be your new system, but it will require the discomfort of getting your fears and getting your own judgments out of the way. And of course, when expectations are released on what the new system will be as, and only pour love into your moment of each day, and only pour love into the acts of energy that you share with the collective, that energy will create stability for you personally. And all those around you will have that great example to see. This person is who I desire to be like. How have you achieved this great expression? And then you can share your secret. I am the creator of my own reality, and my love is what guides my own path. We wish to express to all of you that we understand these are very complex matters, and we do not wish to interfere with how you perceive your reality, because even we are only a reflection of yourself, and knowing this, we understand that working with you through these queries gives us the opportunity to perceive the sides of ourselves that we have never perceived previously. That means you are growing as you speak with us, and we reflect from your own higher selves and collective consciousness greater understandings of you, which in turn gives us understandings of ourselves. We wish to congratulate all of you for your growth, and of course we thank you for our growth as well. We bid all of you adieu for this day, and remember, not only are you loved, but we love you as well.
Hey everybody, this is Rob Gauthier, the ET Whisperer. I hope everyone's doing really well. Now, I'm coming to you from a very special place at a very special time. Right now, it is the 10th of November, and I am broadcasting from the hospital where my son has been for the last 10 days. He had a virus and pneumonia, and now he's having seizures, so there's a lot of things going on with him. Any of you who follow the social media might be aware of that. If any of you are interested in seeing how things in my life work, my Facebook page, unfortunately, I'm still kind of stuck there because that's where all my family has their social media. And a lot of people in the Facebook community go through there too. So I share mostly about my personal life there. And we've been here now for a little over 10 days. And I thought it was important enough to create this recording because of what's going on right now in our collective around the election. Now, I hope all of you can forgive me. My voice is a little rough. I got the same virus my son had, which is one that fills your face up and makes you cough. So the channeling in my voice now might be a little off, and that's kind of why. But back to the important part of why we're here. The election this year has created a lot of different energy flows. There's a lot of anger, a lot of fear, but also a lot of excitement. And in our community for the last year, as we get closer to the election, a lot of different spiritual teachers have talked about what the election results would be or what would happen if certain people were involved with certain outcomes. Some people have said, if Trump won, that the world would be at peace and in a golden age, and others have said catastrophe would fall if he won, and vice versa with the other candidates, Biden and then Harris. And why is this important? I know a lot of you just tune out automatically when you hear the word politics, but as most of you should already have some level of understanding with our channeling that we do here, we don't ask the questions, what about the politics? We ask the questions, what is the collective doing when we're creating this experience? Because as all of you know, we as a collective do in fact create not just the outcome of all of this, but we create it for a reason. And what is that reason? Why did this happen? Some of you are very excited about it. Some of you are very afraid about it. But either way, we need some answers. Why did this happen this way? Why has the last multiple years of politics been so crazy? And we want to know. Thank you guys for your support, for your love. I know it's been very slow on YouTube with the uploads lately. My son has been in the hospital more this last 3 months than he's been in the last 3 or 4 years. And in the last 3 or 4 years, he's been in the hospital more than he has his whole life. So it's been really intense for us, very emotional time. It's just been rough, and I appreciate you guys hanging in there and understanding. Plus, we're getting ready for that channel panel in January, online streaming and live event with all the amazing channelers that you guys already know about. So that's put a lot of energy and free time into that too. I know I have a list of people through the emails that still are owed sessions. That's why I cut the calendar off for the next 2 weeks, so that when I get home in the next few days, I'll be able to catch up. But because there's so much fear and so much excitement around this election, I really felt like it needed to be talked to. Thank you guys for listening. I love you all. Thank you for your support. And as you guys know, subscribing, commenting below, turning on the subscription bell, all that stuff helps our channel grow. And our channel has continuously grown because of how amazing you guys are. And once I start uploading regularly again, probably in January if we're being serious here, hopefully before, it will continue to grow. And you guys are a huge part of that. So thank you. Love you guys. And I'll see you on the other side.